I just fell in love with comedy right away.
Yeah.
I've been fine all day, and then like a swarm of weird exotic flies.
At least they're exotic. They're not basic flies, you know?
Yeah, no basic ass flies here. I got like pure tsetse flies up in my shit. I imported them shits.
Oh, you fancy, huh? When it comes to season 5 of your show, you know, you had like a 4-year hiatus between it? Because
we were making the movie.
Exactly.
So we made season 4, then we made the movie for 3.5, 4 years, something like that. Then we made the movie really like cash flowing, like we're in production, like that was 3 years. And then it takes a year to make the Eric Andre show. So it was 4.5 years between season, but that's just because the movie was no small feat.
Yes, which we will get to in a minute. But yeah. Psychedelic is putting the Eric Andre show very lightly, because it is a whole trip. And I feel like now that it's been around for 5 seasons, we have such a good idea of like what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Eric Andre Show!
What about sort of rolling around in that unknown is so stimulating for you as a creative? I mean, what about that style of comedy really like speaks to you?
Spontaneity. I think that like you're using every part of your brain to improvise within the situation and mine the most comedy out of the situation. So it forces you to be spontaneous, and it's also like a high wire act. It's kind of like the highest stakes version of comedy.
You're not Martin Luther King. You're not.
Like coming back for season 5, like what new perspective did you gain on the show?
I think, and I hope other people share this opinion, that season 5 is kind of the best season yet.
Yeah.
Thank God I got a Sprite. You know, Sprite's a natural astringent.
Jeff Tremaine was our head producer on Bad Trip, on the movie. And he came from 3 Jackass movies and Bad Grandpa. He's made over, $550 million for Paramount doing hidden camera pranks. So he was really our shepherd through this process. And we learned so many tricks of the trade through Jeff. Before, when we started doing pranks on the Eric Andre show, at the beginning of the show, it was really just like, I would jump out of a trash can and go boo and scare somebody, or do some big public stunt and just have people kind of like jaw-dropped observers while I was doing some crazy performance in the streets of New York. But Jeff started stressing the importance of the people you're pranking are the real stars of the segment, and they get the biggest laughs. So the more they're on the hook and the more verbal they are, and the more they believe the premise and are responding to it rather than just kind of like a jaw-dropped observing, the bigger laughs you'll get. Because it's like pranking is like a magic trick. Getting them to believe in the fiction of the premise as a reality is kind of the magic trick of it all.
Dude, don't blame me. Blame social media.
How much do you kind of poke and prod and try to pull stuff out? Like if someone's not giving you the reaction that you want, like how do you sort of like make
your mind is split, where you're performing and you have to stay in your performance, but you're also thinking 2 steps ahead of life in the editing bay later when you're looking at the footage and knowing what you need. So I'm almost like an actor and a performer in that moment, and also a director trying to pull a performance out of an actor who's not an actor, who doesn't know they're performing, who doesn't know they're being filmed. And I can't like direct like a traditional director, because I'm also performing in the scene. So your mind is kind of split in 4 ways, where you're goading them and trying to pull information out of them, but you still have to commit 110% to your performance, because they can't be like, wait a minute, is this real? They have to believe it's real, and you need specific information out of them. So your mind's split a million ways, and your adrenaline's just like going. So it's kind of like a runner's high. You're kind of almost out of body while you're in those moments.
Did you have a big failure? What was your biggest failure?
I think every time I go out on stage or every time I film something, there's some failure, big or small. Dude, one time I opened for Chris Rock in New Orleans and I bombed so hard, like booed off the stage.
No,
it was gut wrenching, and he was so sweet to me. Like backstage, he gave me a big hug, and he was, and him and his tour manager told me about like one time where he bombed in London, and I know bombing is part of life, but man, did that audience hate me, and it like never ended. It was like I got booed and heckled off stage. I wanted to kill myself, and then like it's Chris Rock, so celebrities come to see his show. So like my agent called me the next week and he goes, "Hey man, Anthony Mackie said you suck." I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, "Oh, he was in New Orleans filming a Marvel movie or some shit, went and saw Chris Rock, and he was like, man, that guy sucks at comedy." And I'm talking to my agent like, why are you telling me this? Let me process this trauma. So now every time I see Anthony Mackie in a movie, I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't like the last Avengers, okay?